Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Hare Krishna. We heard three types of knowledge. Tatpatarth, Tum Pradharth, and Jeev Brahm Ek Gyan. If we forget after hearing so much, then there won't be any point of speaking Hari Katha. All the devotees should know all these Siddhant. It's very important. I am not going in depth as of now, and till now it has been only basic level of Hari Katha, but they are also very siddhants with detail, but that would become a little difficult. That's why we are trying to understand it in a very basic way, so that we can at least understand the outline of this. Bhakti Gyan Karmadi Anavritam. We heard till here. Now, what is bhakti? First thing we need to understand is only with devotion Bhavan can get attracted out of love. The 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna said, O Uddhav, I, with austerity, tapasya, sankhya yoga, I do not get pleased with these methods. I do not get so attracted with these processes. The way I get attracted to bhakti, with bhakti, devotion. Bhakti is that thing which can bring us closer to Krishna, Bhagwan. Only bhakti is the only thing which can bring us closer to Bhagwan. Only bhakti is that which can make us get the audience of Bhagwan. Bhakti is everything. We are trying to do bhakti here. Now this bhakti which we are doing right now, is it Sarup Siddha Bhakti or Arop Siddha Bhakti or Sangha Siddha Bhakti? It's essential to know this. In our daily practice of Nam Jap, we can judge ourselves. Whatever sadhana we do in day-to-day life, we don't need to ask anybody else. What I'm doing, is it Sang Siddha Bhakti or Arop Siddha Bhakti or Swarup Siddha Bhakti? Ordinary people would say Bhakti means Bhakti. What is the difference? It's not like that. We need to know these Siddhantas. So 3 types of bhakti are there. I did mention this before. Again, I would like to say it. You all will say, we are making notes, we hear, but we do not remember. How can we remember? When we make notes, then we can easily remember. Unless until we do not repeat these siddhantas to others, then we cannot easily remember. So call your friends, dial their numbers, and you tell them, today I heard a very nice point in satsang. Everyone says we everyone goes to temple, but they do not know how many types of bhakti is there. So this point, if you tell to someone of your social circle, then you will never forget. You will never forget. You will always remember these siddhantas. Harikatha. It's a very great solution to remember the Hari Katha which we hear. First, we will hear Arop Siddha Bhakti is what? What is Arop Siddha Bhakti? In our daily sadhan bhajan practice, it's a very significant bhakti. First title is Arop Siddha Bhakti. This is what? So Maharaj just spoke the definition of this bhakti. Now he's explaining it. The sadhan, which is actually not bhakti. We need to like hear it properly. Maharaj is saying that sadhan, which is actually not bhakti, that has no symptom of bhakti, and very important, it does not have anukulina Krishna anushilinam dharam. The satisfaction and happiness for Krishna is not involved in that sadhan. This is one point. Second point is my personal matter is getting solved. Some of my desire, some of my material desire is getting solved by doing that kind of sadhan. And to fulfill my desire, I am trying to satisfy Krishna. That's why the reaction of that karma I'm giving to Krishna, the fruit of that karma. So I can say I did bhakti, like people ask for desires. In Hindi they say it mannat. Mannat means to ask for a desire. Like I would chant 32 rounds daily of Harinam so that I can get very good scores in my college. 95% I should get in my college. For that 95% score out of 100, not out of 1000, out of 100, if I get 95%, then I would chant daily 32 rounds of Harinam. So daily I'm chanting. My friends, they are seeing me, oh, this person is chanting 32 rounds. But that 32 rounds of chanting, the purpose behind that is what? What is the desire? To fulfill the desire of my mind, my purpose. But I took the shelter of ashray of bhakti, the limbs of bhakti. I took shelter of Harinam, the limb of bhakti. Or I did Nirjala Ekadashi fasting. Or I did service of Giriraj Maharaj. Or I did Parikrama of Giriraj. So externally, the sadhan is looking like bhakti, limbs of bhakti. But internally, it's not for the full desire of Krishna. It is for my personal desire, my siddhi, my desires. That is called Arop Siddha Bhakti. Arop means, what is the meaning of Arop? Imposition. Imposing bhakti to fulfill my desires, heart desires. Imposition of bhakti. Externally appearing like bhakti, but actually it is not bhakti. It is imposition of bhakti. It is called Arop Siddha Bhakti. This is Arop Siddha Bhakti. Second bhakti is Sang Siddha Bhakti, which is that this is also very important bhakti, Sang Siddha Bhakti, to understand, because many devotees, many sadhakas say this is bhakti, they claim it, but when we hear, It's not bhakti. We will get to know. It's not bhakti. For example, the meaning of Sang Siddha Bhakti is Sang Siddha Bhakti. Externally, it will look like bhakti, but it does not involve Anukulina Krishna Anushilanam Dharma. But that sadhan and that limb of bhakti which we perform, that supports to bhakti. Sahayak means to support bhakti, but it is not bhakti in itself. It's not bhakti, it's just supporting bhakti. That's why the name is Sang Siddha. Sang means association, affiliated, affiliated. Sang, associating with bhakti, but it is not actually bhakti. This is called Sang Siddha Bhakti. Example, in Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, Nemi Maharaj, this Nevi Samvad, Nav Yogendra Samvad in 11th canto. It's a very beautiful topic. No Yogendra is what? 9 sannyasis. Yogendra means sannyasi. Shuddha Bhakt, pure devotee, Yogendra. And each of them, because there were 9, each sannyasi spoke one point. They said one point. They mentioned each point. So Maharaj is just mentioning them actually in Sanskrit. These 9 sannyasis, those who chant the name of these 9 sannyasis, they get strength to perform sadhana. They, so we can go to 11th canto Bhagavatam. So these are actually the 9 names of 9 Yogendras which Maharaj just spoke. If we chant their names daily, these 9 names of 9 Yogendras, we will get the power, Shakti, strength, energy to do sadhana. Those who take the names of Sanak Adi, the 4 sons of Brahma, they get Shakti to follow celibacy, brahmacharya, celibacy. That is why when we do fire sacrifice, you will see smart Brahmanas also do fire sacrifice. Even Vaishnavas also do fire sacrifice. Smart people, the Brahmanas, they do Navgrah Puja, worship of 9 planets. Worship of 9 planets. Shani, Shukra, and we Vaishnavas, we do fire sacrifice and we worship Nav Yogendra. So who is more superior? 9 planets, Navgrah, 9 planets are more superior, or these 9 sannyasis, Nav Yogendras are more superior? Who is more superior? So Vaishnav home is performed as per Vaishnav Vidhi. In that, the names of pure devotees, the names of Bhagwan, his pure devotees are taken. But in Smart Yagya, they take the name of demigods. Where are demigods and where is Lalita, Vishakha, Tung, Vidya, Sudevi, Ranga Devi? The names of gopis, Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari, all these names are taken in Vaishnav fire sacrifice. So who is more superior? Hansai Swaha, Dattatrai Swaha, Manmant avatars, even their Yug avatars names are taken. The names of Sakha, Sridham, Subal. So the gravity is Smart fire sacrifice is more superior, or Vaishnav fire sacrifice is more superior. But ordinary people, when you go to their home, when we go to their house and do fire sacrifice, and we do not worship 9 planets, they will think, oh, we did not do it properly. They don't know. They will say, they will mock us basically. We take the name of Nav Yogendra, but they never heard their names. They will mock us, or they are missing some point. They will think this. So Vaishnav home, Vaishnav fire sacrifice is very, very, very powerful. So this Nav Yogendra, Nav Yogendra means 9 sannyasis. They are the sons of Bharat Maharaj. Sorry, Jad Bharat. Oh, sorry, Rishabh Dev. Sorry, Rishabh Dev. Rishabh Dev. Rishabh Dev, who is an incarnation of Bhagwan Shri Krishna, he got 100 sons, and the eldest son was Bharat Maharaj, who became the topmost devotee of Krishna, and by his name, India got its name Bharat. From Bharat Maharaj to Bharat, Desh, Bharat country. So he became the king, Bharat Maharaj. So the other 9 sons, they became sannyasis. They are known as Nav Yogendra. These are the sons of Rishabdev. And the other 81 sons became Karam Kandi. First son became Bharat Maharaj, then other 9 became Nav Yogendra, and the rest of them became Karam Kandi. So each Yogendra spoke one point. One Yogendra spoke on the entire Maya Tattva. What is Maya? What is illusion? One Yogendra spoke on the symptoms of pure devotees of the Lord. Why they are called Uttam Bhagavat? What are the symptoms of Uttam Bhagavat? He spoke on that. One of the Yogendras spoke on that. Pranena Rasena Dittandri. This verse he spoke. One of the Yogendra. By the rope of Prem, one can tie the lotus feet of Bhagwan in his heart. A devotee. This is the symptom of a pure devotee. One Yogendra mentioned, spoke about the incarnations of Bhagwan. It's a very interesting topic. You all can go through it. But our point was Sang Siddha Bhakti. So these Nav Yogendras who are saying this said, here Srila Vishwanath Chaturthi Thakur and Srila Gurudev, why they took this example of Nav Yogendra, this is called reference. With this reference, this point is clear. Which example, by the way? Can they give example of any politician or any demigod? Will Gurudev do that? No, he will not do that. Example is always given of bona fide personality and transcendental person. Transcendental example, not someone of this world, but someone of the other world, Chit Lok, transcendental world. So in this example, 11th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, what Yogendra spoke about Nemi Maharaj. So these points which I will speak now, they are about Sang Siddha Bhakti, which is not Bhakti, which is just supporting Bhakti, pushing Bhakti, associating Bhakti, showing compassion towards people. Is this Bhakti? Is this devotion? Showing compassion towards people, but it's a good quality. It it means you are in the mood of goodness. You show compassion towards people. Second point, Maitri means friendship. So friendship means um, you are helping someone. Someone fell, you gave them your hand and you picked them up. You picked him up. Then third is Saman Pradarshan, to praise, to respect others, to praise others. Saman Pradarshan. Pradarshan means to show. Saman means respect. Even giving respect to birds and animals. Not hurting anyone. Even not killing a mosquito. Not killing even an ant. Giving respect to all the living entities. Shoch. Shoch means to be pure, purified, to be pure. If you're eating something, your hand becomes impure. When your hand is impure, you clean your hand with 2 drops of water. That 2 drops of water will purify our hand. But with water, our hand never gets impure. If the water makes our hand impure, then how can we purify ourselves? We cannot. So the fish is in the water, the fish is so pure. It's always in the water. With water we purify our hands, but fish is always in the water. So Maharaj is singing one poem, Machli Jal Ki Rani hai. It's a Hindi poem. We used to sing this in school actually in India. Like fish, fish is the queen of water, and she's always in the water. If you touch her, she'll become fearful. If you take her out, she would die. It's a poem in Hindi actually. So fishes means those who are in the water. So if can you touch the fish and you become purified? So no, it's not like that. So to be purified is very essential. To remain like to take shower. That's why our devotees, when they chant mantras, Gayatri mantras, Guru mantra, what they do? They do Achman. Maharaj is asking, do you all do Achman? How do we do Achman? Maharaj is asking, do we? So everyone does not know. Unless and until we do not do Achman, we cannot be purified. So Sri Nanda Baba, on the birth of Krishna, Nanda Baba took bath in Yamuna river. After taking bath in Yamuna river, he did Achman and he put on tilak. With this, you become complete purified. So Maharaj is showing actually. I can also show my Panchpatra 1 second. So it's this actually. This is Panchpatra. So on Nirjala fasting, we do not drink the entire water. We just touch it with our lips. So you on Nirjala fasting, we don't need to do Ashwan like this. You just take water in your hand and on your palm and you just touch with your lips. And you say Om Keshwai Namah with mantras, Om Keshwai Namah. Then again, second time we take water, we take like this and we wash our hand. When I got initiation, Guru Maharaj showed me like this. Such a Mahabhagavat Guru Maharaj. But he showed me like this. He taught me like this how to do Achman. Then you take another like this and you Om Narayana Namaha. And then you drink like this. And then again you wash your hands second time with what you and third time Om Madhvai Namaha. So you take like this and then you drink it and then you wash your hand again and you do like this. So in any situation you always by doing Ashman with these three mantras, we become purified. If you are in train, if you are in bus, if you are in flight, how can we do how can we do water Achman? We can just do with mantras. Mantra Achman. Om Keshwai Nama, Om Narayana Nama, Om Madhvai Nama. But before we chant our Gayatri mantra, we must do this Achman. You might think why I'm speaking on all this because in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, Rupa Goswami speaks that it's very essential to be purified. There are so much details in it to take shower, to do Achman, and to remain to wear clean clothes, washed clothes. With all this, we remain in the mode of goodness. But the prime point, the main point is just to be purified doesn't mean it's bhakti. So those trainers who teach us how to swim, who teach us swimming, the teachers, they're always in the water actually with children. So he must be so purified. So if you go and touch him, oh Bhagwan, please make me purified. So it doesn't work that way. So to be purified is supporting our bhakti. It's associated, but it is not bhakti in itself. It's not bhakti in itself. And second, tapasya, austerity, to perform austerities, like For 1 month, I will only survive on milk. Why 1 month? I will not take grains because grains get sins. They have sins. So I want to be away from sins. By drinking milk, I will not get any sins. So 1 month, I will only drink milk and remain as safe, protect myself from not committing any sins. So this is like an austerity. But just drinking milk is not bhakti. So small children who are only drinking milk, they are doing so much bhakti because they only survive on milk. Even the calves, they only drink milk. The goats only drink milk. That means they must be so great devotees. But should we do austerities or not? We should perform austerities. With austerities, we get strength. No austerity becomes or goes wasted. Never. With austerities, our senses become strong. Gold is 2 years. You have a ring, golden ring. If you just let it be in your room, it will become black in color, little black. So, but when you burn it, it will shine. So just like that, the senses when they are burnt with austerities, while performing austerities, while doing austerities, then these senses like mind, body, intelligence, with the strength of tapasya or austerity, they become powerful. The layers on top of these senses, mind, intelligence, like on the gold ring, they came a very on the gold ring there came a black layer. So to clean off that black layer, we had to burn that gold ring in fire. Similarly, those devotees who do tapasya or austerities, they get different aura, unique aura. They get their voice is very strong. So Srila Prabhupada has said, purity is the force. Purity is the force. Those who have purity, his Harikatha, his Vani will touch our heart. And that person has performed austerities, tapasya. So tapasya doesn't mean to fold your hands like this in the air and stand in front of Krishna, or to stand on one leg in front of Krishna. Not this tapasya. Guru Seva Rupi tapasya. All the austerities or tapasyas are not of same kind. Guru Seva is also one kind of tapasya. What is Guru Seva tapasya? Those the services which we do while we are with Gurudev or when we are not with Gurudev. So there are two types of Guru Sevas. One is Vapu Seva, another is Vani Seva. Vapu Seva means to serve Gurudev's body, his kalevar. Everybody cannot get this. Although we all desire, we want to serve Gurudev's body, massage him. But those who cannot get it, those who cannot achieve it, they have second option that's called Vani Seva. That is what Harikatha Gurudev spoke or taught us. You just give that Harikatha to others and make them devotees. Just just make devotees, one or two people, just make them devotees. You will realize how difficult it is, how much you have to tolerate. Even you have to take their bad names, bad comments from them. It's not so easy. So this is an austerity actually, to give your time to others, to give your energy to others, to give your emotions, your feelings to others, to sacrifice. It's a very big austerity. With this, our senses become, they become purified actually. Those sevaks who serve Gurudev will while living with Gurudev. Actually, it's a detailed topic. The personal sevaks of Gurudev. Unless and until Gurudev does not have prasad, honor prasad, how can the sevak honor prasad? That's his tapasya. It's impossible. That's impossible. Gurudev does not take breakfast until 11 a.m. So Sevak, even if the Sevak desires, he wants, he cannot even want or desire or think of it to honor breakfast before Gurudev. Gurudev's Uchisht, by taking Gurudev's remnants, the Sevak does his breakfast or honor Prashadam. So this is tapasya, this is austerity. Unless and until Gurudev doesn't go to bed, I cannot go to bed. We were like this. Gurudev, Gurudev's Vapu Seva, his body seva and his Vani seva, both I got. Both have different rasas. Ras. So on practical ground, I'm telling you, not at theoretical ground. I experienced this myself. That's what I'm sharing with you. In the night, Gurudev went to bed. He honored Prashadam. Gurudev chanted for some time, for a while, and then he went off to sleep. So Gurudev, when he's resting, at that time, we got an opportunity to massage his lotus feet. Why? With this, he will get sound sleep. All day he is sitting in one asan, Gurudev, and he speaks Hari Katha, he chants Hari Nam, he studies books, scriptures. And if I massage little bit of his lotus feet, he will get very sound sleep. So Gurudev's service of his lotus feet, when that's performed, if we do not perform that service, how can we go to bed? So Gurudev does not go to bed till 11 p.m. Can the sevak say, Gurudev, you're not sleeping, but I am tired, I am going off to sleep? To make Gurudev rest, then we go to bed. After Gurudev goes off to sleep. And then before Gurudev gets up, the sevak should get up. Before Gurudev gets up in the morning, the sevak should be ready with hot water for Gurudev to drink, towel, clothes, all these should be ready. He has to drink warm water, whatever Gurudev needs, they all should be ready. That all should be ready in the morning. So now tell me, Sevak slept for 3 hours. This is a tapasya. This tapasya is bhakti mulak tapasya. Bhakti mulak tapasya. This is not sang siddha bhakti. This is direct bhakti. Siddhi siddhi, direct. There cannot be any more special bhakti than this. This is Guru bhakti. So I'm trying to tell you that in tapasya, there is so much difference. That tapasya which is done for Gurudev, Guru Parampara, for Guru Parampara, our all preachers, sannyasis, brahmacharis in Western world or in India who are preaching the Vani of Bhagwan, this is tapasya as well, who are preaching day and night. You know, we feel this so nice. Gurudev is going in flight, he's sitting in AC, air conditioning, and we are in Faridabad, it's so hot in Delhi. Gurudev is at least in flight for 18 hours, our Gurudev. So, well, actually, even if in the flight Gurudev is sitting for 18 hours with a belt and the next person sitting to him is eating meat, drinking alcohol, and there are so many details, and Gurudev has to tolerate all this for us. This is also tapasya, austerity. For this Guru Seva, Mahaprabhu's Seva, Vani Seva. That is why every person can do Guru Seva. Those who get the opportunity to serve Gurudev personally, they got or they will get past, present, future. They got, they would get, or they are getting. It's good, but everybody cannot get this. Then what they should do? Should we just be idle, sitting, wasting our time? We can do Vani Seva. We can do Vani Seva. How we can do Vani Seva? Whatever Hari Katha we hear, we just repeat it to others. Or today, right now it's digital time. So Gurudev's Hari Katha You can make short reels of Gurudev's Harikatha, and then you can circulate or share with your friends and relatives and family members. This is Vani Seva. Those who know to do it, they can do it. This is also Vani Seva. This is Tapasya. Second point. So we were at Sang Siddha Bhakti. Again, I will repeat, it's not bhakti in itself. It is just supporting bhakti. So first point we heard is we show compassion towards others in Sang Siddha Bhakti. Those who do Sang Siddha Bhakti. I'm telling you both the points. Social come in this category. People who get girls married in India, this is very common actually. They donate money to make girls married. Those who cannot afford their marriage. 500 girls got married. This is also not bhakti. You give money to poor people for their marriage. This is a good quality. It's a quality in the mode of goodness, but this cannot be called bhakti. And giving respect to everyone, always remaining or being purified, and always being tolerant, giving respect to everyone, always being tolerant. There are so many people like that. In India, there are big organizations. They teach that we should always be tolerant in every situation. If someone praises us or criticizes us, we should be tolerant, always tolerant. This is the quality of bhakti if this is applied in bhakti, but it's not bhakti in itself. And then mon dharan. Mon means to be quiet, speechless, not talking unnecessarily, not speaking unnecessarily. That's called mon dharan. All day you are just gossiping. You cannot keep quiet. You are just talking and talking and talking unnecessarily. Today this topic, tomorrow that topic, so many things. Mon means not that you're always quiet. Mon means whatever is required, only that much you speak up. And do not speak up unnecessarily, which has no relation, no connection with us. So why to give so much attention to such topics? Today that party won, today that MLA won, politics. We do not know what will happen to us. We do not know what would happen to us. And the real moan is, I'm telling you both the points. Real moan is to chant more and more and to speak more and more Harikatha. That is real moan. There are so many Moni Babas actually in this world. In Vrindavan, there are Moni Babas. They do not speak. They are quiet. No, I'm fasting from speech for myself. They are called Moni Babas. Not that kind of Mon. The real Mon is Shri Radhika Madhav Leela Guna Rupananam Pratishanashvadan Lolupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Always singing the glories of Radha Madhav, that's real Mon fast. But we were with Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj Ji, and other acharyas as well. And they sometimes used to speak other topics as well. So the person can think they are not speaking on the glories of Radha Madhav, and Gurudev would always sing the glories of Radha Madhav. So Param Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj would tell to Gurudev, listen, when I am with ordinary people speaking on ordinary topics, still then you should be with me. So Param Gurudev used to say this to Pujapad Nair Maharaj. You be with me and you listen to me, that even if I'm speaking on ordinary topics, but how I divert those topics and I bring them on Krishna's pastimes. You learn this technique. Param Gurudev used to say this to Gurudev. You observe this technique. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ji, in his books, he has mentioned so many times about Chanakya Niti. Chanakya spoke like this. He mentioned he said this. He said that because that those points support bhakti. Just essence we can take from there. Not that not that everything is Chanakya Niti. Not that Chanakya Niti is bhakti, not like that. But essence can be taken from Chanakya Niti. So the real mon is to chant the names of Krishna, to speak his glories. So we connect here for 1 hour on Zoom class. This is mon fasting. Mon means not to speak, but real mon is to speak about only Krishna. And another is Swadhyay. Some people just keep on reading, reading, and reading. And for whom are you reading? For my self satisfaction. I should be satisfied. Or should we read because after reading I'll become famous from zero to hero? So I read for that. For my personal growth. But even devotees read books. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Swadhyay. But it's not for personal. It's not for personal thing. They read for Krishna's service, devotees. So all these qualities are very good actually. But when bhakti is subtracted from them, then it does not have Krishna Anushilanam. These qualities do not have Krishna Anushilanam. That's why they cannot be categorized as bhakti. They are just known as Sang Siddha Bhakti. Another example Another example is saralta. Saralta means very simple. Simple, very simple, down to earth. So many people we see, they look so simple. He's so simple. But on the other hand, in scriptures it is said, Krishna Krishna Bhakt Krishner Ati Chatur. The devotee of Bhagwan is very smart and clever. They are not saral. His cleverness is his simpleness. Devotees, because his cleverness is cleverness. Chaturai means cleverness. Clever, cleverness, chatur. So a devotee, Krishna Bhakt, the devotee is very clever, but he shows cleverness. Krishna's devotee shows cleverness in preaching, in making devotees, in doing bhakti, in protecting himself, herself from others. Then Krishna's devotee is very clever. He doesn't show his cleverness in front of Krishna. He is very simple actually. Krishna's devotee. So simpleness is a very good quality in itself. Like 10 years back, I heard this story of one of a devotee. It's little funny actually. So sometimes little bit of humor is good. We all heard this katha in India. Maybe you have heard in India. Once upon a time, there was a man who was cutting. So he was cutting wood with his iron axe. But that iron axe fell in water, and in that water he saw a person. So he wanted to check whether this person is simple or not. because actually he was looking, that image in the water was looking very simple, but he wanted to test that person. In Indians devotees have heard this story many times actually. So he was cutting wood, but his axe fell in water, and from that water came a divine person. So he got his golden axe, and he asked him, "Is this your axe?" He was so simple. He said, "No, it's not mine." Okay. Then he gave him silver axe. Okay, okay, is this your one's yours? Silver axe? No, even this is not mine. Then he gave him iron axe. Is this yours? Yes, this is mine. This is mine. So that divine person became so happy seeing his simpleness, honesty. I have become so pleased. You were honest, you were not greedy. Otherwise, you would have taken golden axe and I would have given it to you. But you only said that iron axe is yours. So I give you all the three: golden, silver, and iron one. Golden, silver, iron axe. So he gained. It's his profit. It was his profit. Now, the second story which I'm going to tell you is not my story. I heard it from someone else, so don't blame me for that. During Kartik Parikrama, similarly, one day he he okay his wife fell in water of that person who got three different axes. First, his axe fell in water. Now his wife fell in water, and the divine person again came. He repeated the entire thing. Not that divine person, he brought a very beautiful apsara from heaven, like a very beautiful demigoddess. And he asked her, is she your wife? He said, yes, she is my wife. So he became confused. Earlier, he was so honest. When it was about X, he only took iron X. Now, when it's about the wife, I just asked him if this beautiful lady is your wife, and he lied. Where is your honest nature gone? Your honesty, where's your honesty gone? Where's your simplicity gone? So he cried. He started crying. Oh Maharaj, he prayed. What should I do? You brought such a beautiful lady from heaven in front of me, and if I would have said no, then you would have brought another beautiful female from this world. I would have said no, she's not my wife. Then you would have got my wife, and I would have said yes, she's my wife, and then you would have said you keep all the three. How I could keep all the three wives? That's why I said this one is mine. You 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 will become angry, offended, and you would leave, and I don't have to take care of any one of them. I don't have to take care for any one of them. So it was so simple. It's a joke actually, but look at his simplicity. Why he said that heavenly goddess is my wife? Because he would give me all the three. How would I take care of three wives? I can't even take care of one wife. This is funny. And then brahmacharya. This is another quality, to be celibacy, and then non-violence, ahimsa, non-violence, not to hurt anyone physically. Hinsa means to kill someone, to hurt someone, to harm someone, and if you kill someone phy- physically, can some person do it? Does it? Can you take someone's life? That too of a devotee. No human can do it. Only demons can do it. Only ordinary person cannot do it. Ordinary person will not have that strength to kill a devotee, Vaishnav. So, not to be violent towards others, not to hurt animals and birds. How can we hurt animals and birds or others? Like I gave an example, Indonesia, Bali, I spoke Harikatha, and they actually captivated so many birds in the cage. So I told them, you free them, you free all these birds. If you want to give me some donation, you free these birds because you have caged them actually, and if you free them, that will be non-violence. If you have captured them in a cage, this is violence, and if you let them free, this is non-violence. This is those who eat eggs, meat, fish, what they do, they are violent. No, no, uh, I did not kill them, I just ate them. But those who killed, that person was violent. Those who ate, even they did violence by eating. It will be counted in violence. Our Guru Maharaj used to say one point. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Gosai Maharaj, our Gurudev used to say, our Guru Maharaj used to say, a person who is not a Vaishnav yet, as of now, and he used to eat eggs, non-veg and fish, but now he has become a Vaishnav. He has left eating non-vegetarian food items. He he left violence and he accepted non-violence. He left violence. He accepted non-violence, right? But to become a Vaishnav, Guru Maharaj said, by becoming a Vaishnav, he left eating non-veg earlier. But okay, although he left eating non-veg, but he was actually eating flesh of Vaishnavas. That means, what does it mean? Eating flesh of Vaishnavas. There is a book called Vaishnav Aparadh. Vaishnav Aparadh. In that book, in that Granth, we translated from Hindi to English. It's a very beautiful book, very beautiful Granth. Guru Maharaj became very happy. On the back cover of that book, there's a quotation that before becoming a Vaishnav, you used to eat animals' flesh. That you left. But after Diksha Mantras, now you are eating Vaishnav flesh, Vaishnava's flesh. What does it mean? If I criticize you, if I criticize you, just for example, our Ramakant Prabhu, just an example. If I criticize Ramakant Prabhu and I say bad things about you, so will you will get hurt? You will feel bad. Why is he speaking like this about me? And when you get worried, when you get disturbed, I burnt your blood. I burnt your blood. Actually, when we are in stress, we burn blood. When we are in stress and anxiety, we burn our blood. Burning of blood. So I burnt your blood means I ate your flesh. Guru Maharaj used to say, you left eating the flesh of animals, but now you're eating the flesh of Vaishnavas. This is such a big violence. This means we should not give anxiety, stress, disturbance to others. We should not criticize others. Stress and anxiety means to criticize others, to speak bad things about others. So I ate your flesh. I burnt your blood. I gave you stress. Your blood was burnt because from blood From blood actually flesh comes, and if your blood is burning means you will become weak, you will lose your flesh. So Guru Maharaj used to say, do not eat the flesh of Vaishnavas, means do not criticize Vaishnavas, do not give them any stress or anxiety. Never criticize any Vaishnav. With your sadhan, be concerned only with your sadhan. Be concerned only with your Harinam and services, your seva. Do not give attention in criticizing others. Criticize yourself. Criticize your bad qualities. Point this finger, index finger, like this. You are so much at fault. You are so much mad. You are such a big offender. Criticize yourself. Eat your flesh. Means I'm not saying physically you eat your flesh. Means you criticize yourself and you purify your senses. So those people who criticize Vaishnavas, especially Siksha Guru, Path Pradarshak Guru, those who got us on this track of bhakti, those who showed us this path of bhakti, if you criticize them, you are you became non-vegetarian, you became violent. This is deep meaning of violence. Violence towards Vaishnavas. So I explain both the aspects. All these qualities are good qualities. They will support bhakti, but these qualities are not bhakti in themselves. Hot, hot and cold both are not same. In Vrindavan, I saw it's too much cold in Vrindavan, but the people are some devotees are neutral. They have no problem. It's a good quality. They tolerate it. Not like it becomes too hot in Vrindavan and they get disturbed. Or it gets too cold in Vrindavan, they get disturbed. So it's a good quality to tolerate hot and heat and cold. And we should always see Krishna's uh, Krishna's presence in all directions. It's because of Krishna. This is because of Krishna. That is because of Krishna. It's a good quality to remain alone. Ekant means alone. There's so many devotees, though so many people. I, I don't want to see, I don't want to see anybody's face. I will remain alone. Our Parudev Prabhupada never taught us Nirjan Bhajan. Prabhupada was always against this. Nirjan Bhajan means I will do bhajan alone. This is opposite to bhakti, not favorable to bhakti. It's a good quality. It means ekant vas means to ekant, ekant, which has one pointedness, nishtha, one pointedness, and you remain with that person. That's called ekant vas. Ekant vas. Ekant means not to remain to be isolated. Ekant means those who are one pointed, those who have ananya bhakti, those nishtha is one pointed in the service of the Lord, in the service of Krishna's aradhana. To remain those, to remain closer to those people is called ekantavas. All these qualities, ekantavas also uh, has details in it. Actually, we should be close with those devotees who are one pointed in bhakti. That ekantavas. Um, only and only Gaudiya Vaishnavas who are one pointed devotees of Radha Ji, Radha Charan Dasi, those who have this pride to become the maid servant Palidasi of Radharani. to remain closer to these devotees is called Ekantavas. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ji was preaching in Calcutta, Bhaktivinoda Thakur ji. And some people who did not like him, they said, "You are a sadhu and you you do very nice archan. You should be actually living in the forest. You should be living in the forest. Why you live in city, Kolkata? You are a sadhu. Sadhu lives in the forest." So Bhaktivinoda Thakur said what he answered. He said, I am living in the forest of Calcutta. Calcutta is a forest. No, this is a city actually. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, no, this is a forest, not city. What is forest? Forest is where animals live, not humans, where wild animals live. Those who are just doing sleeping, eating, mating, defending. This is what animals do. They eat, they sleep, they have children, and they defend themselves. So I am living with all of you. You all are animals, and I am living in the forest. This is what he said actually. City is what is city? City is where sophisticated, educated people live. That's called city. Means those who have all these qualities of purity, simpleness, tapasya, those qualities are actually in the forest. But where I'm staying in Calcutta, you all are sophisticated animals. So Ekantavas means um, this is Ekantavas. This is the difference between reading yourself and hearing from others. So someone can think Ekantavas is so nice. I should leave my family life and I should go to the forest. I should go near some forest near Mumbai and I will do bhajan there. This is not called Ekantavas. When you go to live in the forest to do bhajan, Ek- we should be staying closer to Radha Eknishta Bhakta, those devotees who are close to Radha Rani, those who have Nishta in Radha Rani's service. All these qualities support bhakti, but they are not bhakti in themselves. They are the associate of bhakti. They are associated with bhakti. All these qualities, among all these qualities, if you remove bhakti, then these are zero. There's no point of swadhyay, compassion, austerities. These all are insignificant without bhakti, because they have no connection with Bhagwan, so they become insignificant. Krishna's bhakti is only that quality which can Krishna's bhakti is that which can connect all these qualities with Krishna. So all these qualities are one side. Gurudev is showing like this actually, and Bhagwan is like this. And qualities Bhagwan in between is bhakti. Krishna Anushilinam will bring these qualities to Bhagwan. This is called Sang Siddha Bhakti. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hari Hari Bol. Shri Vishwanath Chatti Thakur ki jai. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Hare Krishna.